Hello and welcome to TVB News. I'm Melissa Hekalea. Following the deadly fire in Taipo, the Development Bureau today announced a change in the regulations for all buildings undergoing major repair works and new projects. Samantha Lee gives us the details.
Fault was found in both the scaffolding nettings and their safety certificates in relation to the deadly fire in Wanfo Court in Taipo. The Development Bureau has now issued a new set of rules which applies to such nettings. Under the new requirements, contractors will have to provide certificates confirming the scaffolding netting on buildings is fire retardant. Once the netting arrives in Hong Kong, random samples will be sent to government-designated laboratories for testing. The whole examination process will be video recorded. The government expects the results to come out in around a week. Nettings can only be installed after samples pass the test. Otherwise, the whole batch of nets have to be replaced.
According to the building's ordinance, if any contractor does not comply with the requirements regarding the testing and also putting up the scaffolding nets, for example, they put up scaffolding nets without going through this on-site sampling and testing, that will be a violation of the requirement, and the immediate result is the ceasing of works. The Buildings Authority will then issue an order to cease works immediately, and also there will be other sanctions under the law.
The government will announce the list of designated laboratories next week at the earliest. The Construction Industry Council will be responsible for sourcing all scaffolding nettings through central procurement for a period.
We understand that this new testing protocol may cause some cash flow problem to some contractors. So CIC is stand ready to look into the individual cases, case by case, and see what we can do to help the cash flow of the affected company.
Samantha Lee, TVB News.
Hong Kong's first Chinese medicine hospital opened today. The hospital said more than 180 patients made appointments on the first day. Mimo Singhai reports.
On the first day of operation, the Chinese Medicine Hospital in Tseung Kwan O held a flag-raising ceremony. Secretary for Health Lo Chung Mau tested out the outpatient service after the ceremony. He registered at a counter before meeting a Chinese medical practitioner. Lo said that he has been suffering from arm pain. The health secretary then received acupuncture and moxibustion treatment. Lo also talked to patients asking their opinions of the service. One patient, who is from Gunton, said the Chinese medical practitioners were caring and patient. While she paid more than $300 for the consultation and medicine, the patient said the fee was acceptable. But this Tseung Kwan O resident was not too pleased with the service. He said he had waited over 30 minutes to pick up his medicine. Speaking to the media, the hospital said the quota for government-subsidized outpatient services has all been taken up for the first month, while the booking for specialized services has reached about 80%. To increase the worldwide awareness of traditional Chinese medicine, the hospital said they have been in touch with overseas parties.
We have already signed a collaboration agreement with various overseas universities, and we have visited them. Apparently, there are a lot of hospitals and a lot of interest in overseas countries in traditional Chinese medicine, and they are willing to work with us and will be visiting us very soon.
The new hospital will introduce services in phases. In the first year, patients can book outpatient and day patient services, including external medicine and pediatrics in Chinese medicine. 12 special disease programs are also available, such as those for elderly degenerative diseases and stroke rehabilitation. Subsidized outpatient consultation fees start at $180, and each medication costs $25 per day. Patients who are not qualified for subsidized services will need to pay pay a market rate fee between $450 and $790, but that discounted fee range is limited for the first year. The fee will raise to between $560 and $980 in the second year of the hospital's operation. Members of the public are offered 4 ways of making appointments at the Chinese Medicine Hospital, including online and mobile phone booking. Memos 9, TVB News.
Nobel Peace Prize laureate Maria Corina Machado made an appearance in Oslo, climbing barriers outside her hotel to hug well-wishers. This after the Venezuelan opposition figure failed to reach the Norwegian capital in time to receive her award at a ceremony held hours earlier. Daniel Rao tells us more.
Nobel Peace Prize laureate Maria Corina Machado had secretly left Venezuela for Oslo in defiance of a decade-long travel ban imposed by authorities in her home country and after spending more than a year in hiding. Speaking in Oslo, the 58-year-old laureate described the joy of meeting her children who live in exile for the first time in about 2 years. Machado greeted dozens of people from the balcony of Oslo's Grand Hotel, where Nobel laureates traditionally stay, waving and singing the Venezuelan national anthem along with the crowd, which waved her country's flags and filmed her with their mobile phones. Later, Machado came down to the street and climbed over crowd barriers to hug and shake hands with people who had gathered in the cold for the chance to see her. Machado's daughter, Ana Corina Sosa Machado, earlier accepted the Nobel Prize in her name and delivered a speech by her mother in which she said democracies must be prepared to fight for freedom in order to survive. In her speech, Machado said the prize held profound significance not only for her country but for the world. It reminds the world that democracy is essential for peace, she said via her daughter, whose voice cracked when she spoke of her mother. Machado left Venezuela by boat on Tuesday and travelled to the Caribbean island of Curacao, from where she departed on a private plane for Norway, according to a person familiar with the matter. Machado said she plans to return to Venezuela despite the risks she faces. In 2024, Machado was barred from running in Venezuela's presidential election despite having won the opposition's primary by a landslide. The Venezuelan Electoral Authority and top court declared President Nicolas Maduro the winner, but international observers and the opposition party say its candidate handily won, and the opposition has published ballot box level tallies as evidence of its victory. Maduro and his supporters took to the streets of the Venezuelan capital, Caracas, hours after Machado collected the Nobel Peace Prize. He mocked her, claiming the prize had been filled with blood and war. General TV News.
Australia has begun enforcing a social media ban for those under 16 years old. Several governments, including Denmark, have signaled they may follow suit. Danny Joe has the report.
A day after the world's first social media ban went live, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese met with school children in Canberra.
We know that social media is causing social harm. And one of the issues that I as Prime Minister get all the time is asked about questions of national security. There is nothing more important than keeping our young Australians safe now and into the future.
Albanese stressed it was not a reform from the top down, as reports say the ban had the backing of some 3/4 of Australian parents.
Importantly, as we saw yesterday, this is not a reform that has come from the top down. This is not government making a decision and then imposing our will. This is something that has come in particular from parents.
Authorities on Thursday demanded social media giants report progress on how many accounts they have deactivated. 10 of the biggest platforms, including TikTok, Instagram and YouTube, must bar underage users under the law. They would face a fine of up to 49.5 million Australian dollars or about 256 million Hong Kong dollars for not complying. Following Australia's lead, Denmark seems set to introduce its own social media restriction. Its government announced it had secured agreement to ban access to social media for anyone under 15. The Danish Digital Affairs Minister said there is still a consultation process and several readings in Parliament before the ban is finally signed into law, which could be by mid to end of next year. To this, school students in the Nordic country have mixed reactions. A 14-year-old student, Chloe, said she thinks it's not the youth's responsibility to make sure there's no bad stuff on the internet. It's the government that need to regulate what the young people see. Malaysia, France, Greece and New Zealand are also planning to restrict preteens to sign up for social media in a bid to grapple with the harmful fallout on internet overuse. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Welcome back. Foreigners who are allowed to enter the United States without a visa could soon be required to submit extensive amounts of personal information before doing so. Customs and Border Protection is proposing collecting 5 years' worth of social media information from travelers from select countries who do not have to get visas to come to the U.S. That's in addition to email accounts and extensive details about family history. Asked at a White House event whether he was concerned the measure might affect tourism to the U.S., President Donald Trump said no. However, he did talk up his administration's new Gold Card program to create new pathways to American citizenship. Individuals will need to invest $1 million to qualify for the program, while corporations will be required to invest $2 million. Disney animated film Zootopia 2 has been in Chinese mainland theaters for 2 weeks and currently ranks first among all regions globally when it comes to box office receipts. Danny Zhou has more.
The Fox and the Rabbit Police duo are at it again. This second Zootopia tale is taking mainland by storm. Many Guangzhou moviegoers love the interaction between the animal partners and that the plot appeals to both children and adults. Starting with哪吒 2 over the Chinese New Year, many animated films have been sweeping the market this year. Some analysts think they share a common trait. Zhang Yan, a film critic, thinks that the popular films often depict protagonists who are marginalized within a larger system. Zhang says those small figures may not be embraced by the mainstream, but they don't give up and work hard to pursue their dignity. Zootopia 2 taps into this as well. The film was released simultaneously in North America and the Chinese mainland on November the 26th. 3 days later, it surpassed哪吒 2 with over 700 million yuan in a single day, breaking the single-day box office record for animated films in the mainland. And the mainland at one point accounted for over half of the film's global office. To date, it has grossed 3 billion yuan in the mainland. Zhang said it proves that the Chinese film market is indispensable in the overall box office ecosystem, and distributors cannot ignore the Chinese market. The first Zootopia also broke the mainland record for imported animated films back in 2016. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
The deadly fire in Wangfuk Court in Taipo has claimed the lives of 10 foreign domestic workers. The Consulate General of Indonesia says it's working to expedite the return of the remains of 9 workers to Indonesia. Meanwhile, the Consulate General of the Philippines expects the body of the deceased Filipino worker to be repatriated within a week. Samantha Lee spoke to them.
It has been more than 2 weeks since the tragic blaze in Wangfuk Court in Taipo, where 10 foreign domestic workers were killed. The Consulate Generals of the Philippines and Indonesia are working with the Hong Kong government to send bodies back to their home countries. Speaking with TVB News, Consul General of the Philippines, Romano Victor Ezerel, said 43 Filipinos were at Wangfuk Court when the fire broke out. One was killed, and she is survived by a 10-year-old son and an elderly mother. The deceased was the family's breadwinner.
We were able to follow it up, beginning with the burial order, so from the Department of Health, and from there we will secure the removal order from the immigration, and then of course we need documents like the certificate of death, and from the Consulate General we also have to issue a mortuary certificate, and all the other documents needed, of course the booking with the airline. So all these things will be on the top of our list. So hopefully we can send the body back to the Philippines within a week.
When asked if the incident would affect Filipinos' confidence in working in the city, Romano said Hong Kong is a safe haven with solid legal protection for domestic workers. He believes many Filipinos will keep looking for opportunities in Hong Kong. Meanwhile, 9 Indonesian domestic workers lost their lives in the fire. Islam is the main religion in Indonesia, and it emphasizes the timely burial of the deceased.
In some some beliefs in Indonesia, our traditional way to, to bury the dead bodies as soon as possible. But we can't really, take everything just like how we wish it's supposed to be in this kind of situation. We try to explain the situations to the families, and by far I believe that they can understand the situations. They still have some hopes, that's for sure, but we are working very hard every day trying to, to expedite the process.
Both consul generals praised the foreign domestic workers for demonstrating remarkable bravery during the massive blaze. They will continue to provide support, including document replacement and psychological counseling. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening.